Hey everybody, Greyce here. Welcome to another video. This is going to kind of kick off a series of videos that I'll be doing over the coming weeks as I have decided to join the Edison format WarLeague and the GOAT format WarLeague. I had a really good time last season in the GOAT format WarLeague. I was not happy with how I played, and I really want to improve this season and end with a much better record and hopefully make a playoff run. In Edison, I'm just trying to have a good time, trying to learn. Obviously, I want to win. But as I do these replay reviews of all my matches, that's kind of my goal, is to go week by week, and I'll basically be posting 2 videos a week, one for each WarLeague, unless either I have a bye or I'm on the bench. So yeah, that is kind of it. I will caveat this all by saying that my understanding of Edison is very, very surface level. I've played way less than 100 matches of Edison, where with GOAT format I've played hundreds of matches, so I have a much deeper understanding of the format. You're going to see bad misplays in both formats regardless, but Edison is going to be more brutal, I will say. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I am playing Hero Beat, and my opponent, we'll get into that. I'm on Hero Beat. I mentioned this in one of my other videos, mainly because I don't want to think too much about what I have to do, especially since I'm still learning the format. I just want to focus on kind of countering my opponent's plays and just doing very straightforward Hero Beat stuff that's very solid and good. So this is a very nice hand, good mix of spells and traps. So I'll go ahead and do the normal stuff, go E-Call for Stratos, get Alias to go along with the Gemini Spark. I'm going to go ahead and activate Future Fusion, get it online as quickly as possible. I think that's reasonable. And then my other kind of main decision point here was whether or not to set this Deprison or Mirror Force along with the Future Fusion. I ultimately decide to set this. This is playing into Heavy Storm, which I was aware of, but at the same time I wanted this protection here with the Deprison. Looking back at it though, I mean, what am I really protecting against? I don't really know. I mean, some maybe like a turn 1 synchro or something, but really the Stratos is not that valuable to be protecting. So I don't know. I don't know if this Depression is necessarily necessary, because I'm definitely playing into Heavy Storm by setting both of these. But if he had Heavy, he probably would have ripped it right there. He doesn't. He goes Lone Fire. I assume this is going to be into Titanial. Makes me a little nervous. Because you know, there's like that Mark of the Rose deck going around that I don't really know quite how it functions. Like I said, I'm learning Edison. I know kind of the main decks and what they do. I have a decent understanding of Black Wings, of heroes, of frogs to a certain extent, of fairies. But beyond that, like rogue decks, I really don't know what the hell's going on. So a little concerned when I see the Titanial, but we have good answers to it. I have the Deprison if he decides to attack, and then I always have the Alias Honest combo next turn. Draw into another Gemini Spark. My only real thinking here is I want to get rid of this Titanial as quickly as possible, because I don't want him to start bringing out like tokens and stuff or other plant monsters that he can tribute off to negate things. I guess that makes sense. So I decided to go ahead and go Alias and then do the whole Honest thing. Pretty straightforward. I'm okay playing into like Mirror Force or whatever here, because I can always change Gemini Spark, and then he'll have to and target the Titanial, then he'll have to tribute. So either way, I'm getting rid of the Titanial. So I go damage calc. I think I should maybe say like priority and damage calc, because I've learned kind of how that whole thing works. Still a little confusing, but anyway, so things go really well so far. I assume that if he had heavy, he would have heavied last turn. So I decide to go ahead and set this Gemini Spark alongside. Yeah, he goes Debris Dragon, and I'm immediately thinking, all right, I need to answer this, or else I'm going to get Black Rose for 5 cards. So I want to go ahead and let him do the thing. He'll go this, target Lone Fire, and then I will decide to Gemini Spark the Debris Dragon. I'm not sure what's the correct target to Gemini Spark. I decide to go with the Debris Dragon because I just don't want to leave the tuner on board. This is also something I noticed. Somebody, I think it was Cameron Saunders, put in chat that I missed out on damage because because this lone fire should have gone into attack, and that debris dragon, when it summons something, it always has to go to attack. I did not notice that. My opponents did not notice that. So yeah, this should have been an attack, but that's something good to know. You live and you learn. That's why I'm reviewing these matches and participating in this, because I want to learn and get better. So yeah, I think that's all kind of a reasonable course of action. We draw into Compulse. He yadas for an extra card, and then just simply passes. So now our Future Fusion goes off, and we get Absolute Zero. I decide to go ahead and attack with Alias first, mainly to play around Gores, and also I noticed that if I attack direct with Stratos, that'll put him at exactly 25, so that next turn Absolute Zero would be lethal. But at the same time, like I said, I missed out on damage because this Lone Fire should have been an attack. I decide to set Compulse. I think that's reasonable because we still haven't seen Heavy Storm, and if, you know, for whatever reason we get Black Rose out of nowhere or something, I can always chain Compulse to recycle my Stratos to get another Alias to make this Gemini Spark live. So I like Compulse here in this spot. And then he just scoops, so just must have really bricked there. I drew super well, which helps obviously. On to game 2. I sided in 2 Dynas, I sided in a Royal Oppression, and I think that was it. Especially learning a format, I'm not trying to overside, I'm not trying to kill my engine by siding too much. I just want to be smart about what I'm doing. So, a couple options here. I decide to go ahead and not summon the Alias because I really don't want it to get bottomless or deprisoned because I have Hero Blast. I really want to make sure that this gets destroyed so that I can use Hero Blast, because I noticed he has some small monsters like Lone Fire and Debris Dragon and stuff that I can get some value out of the Hero Blast with. So I decide to, and I also want to keep this Fossil Dyna alive. I don't want to run it into a deprison either, so I decide to set it. And then set these 2 back row. I don't know if that's the correct course of action. I'm not sure. Maybe some of you Edison experts might have a better line there. I don't know. But it seems reasonable enough. He decides to terraforming for Gear Town, which makes me kind of nervous because I don't really know what this deck does. I know that you can like Gear Town, destroy your own Gear Town with another field spell, and then bring out a big guy, but that's really all I know about what this deck does. I guess I would later talk to my teammates and find out that this deck is called KFC with Kuraz and whatever. I don't even know what this deck does, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, and then we just get pro heavied for 2. Really well played to set that up by my opponent by setting the terraforming and the heavy, and then making that play. That's just a free plus. So really well played. Decides to just set 1 back. This might have been incorrect here. There's a couple options. I end up going summon Alias, attack, and leave the Fossil Dyna face down. Not sure if this is correct. I think anytime I see a face down monster in Edison, I just assume it's like Raikou, which I just have to get out of that line of thinking, because it's obviously not. You know, a really good Edison player with someone with, not even a good Edison player, someone with experience would know what deck is being played. If they would have saw the Gear Town and the terraforming and the Titanium and stuff. If they'd have seen that, they'd have known that this face down is probably not a Raikou. It's more than likely like a maybe a I can't remember what the name, the one that brings out the 2 tokens when it's destroyed, Dandelion or whatever. More than likely something like that. So it would have been beneficial to flip summon Dyna and then attack Alias and then attack with Dyna 1200 direct to get me 1200 extra damage in. So this was incorrect. But you live and learn. Then he goes with a mole of his own. This was a very big decision point for me because I was trying to decide whether it's worth to Fossil Dyna, flip it here to destroy this, and then essentially allow him to just run over my Fossil Dyna because I don't have any defensive traps. The Hero Blast isn't live, so I kind of thought about this for a while, but I really just didn't want him to have the advantage on the normal summon, because this will be on the field, and then he'll bring out another monster. He'll be able to. He probably would choose to Grand Mole my face down, that would just put me behind, and I just didn't want to deal with it. So I decided to go ahead and flip the Fossil Dyna, and I could have gotten 1200 extra damage if I'd have played that in a better order. So good to know. He decides to just set. So a few options here. I mean, I could always like Gemini Spark, either the back row or the face down, but I don't know what exactly that's accomplishing besides getting the Alias in the grave and making my Hero Blast live, which isn't horrible. But also I'm thinking here that if I summon Mole, bounce his monster, and then attack with both of these, that's threatening quite a bit of damage, and it's playing very aggressive. You can't, special summon anything in response because of the Fossil Dyna. So I decided to get really aggressive here. I'm playing into Torrential and Mirror Force this way, but I decided to go ahead and take that risk. And we run into Torrential, which is unfortunate. So at this point, I'm down bad. But he goes Gear Town, destroys it, brings out Gadgetron, which is a little concerning because it's a 3000 beater, and then I realized that Chimera Tech is a card, so that's nice. And really, the more I started thinking about this is like a really good position to be in, depending on what his face down and he has in hand. I felt like I was really down on card advantage, but he kind of had to go neg a little bit to bring this out, and then I'm going to be able to contact fusion with Cyber Dragon. So that's what I go ahead and decide to do. And I want to get rid of both of these tokens. I don't want to leave any of them on the field in case for whatever reason he's able to like go Lone Fire into Titanial or something. I don't want these negates on board, so I decide to go ahead and Hero Blast. I wanted to do Chimera Tech first to not give away that I had Hero Blast. I don't know if the ordering's 100% correct there, but that's what I decided to do. And here's nice. I mean, Torrential's gone, so I'm not too worried about like Mirror Force in the spot. I don't feel like he would have both of those at the same time. And I can always Gemini Spark if worse comes to worse. So we get in the damage, and I decide to go ahead and set both. Heavy Storm's gone, and I guess he lagged and was trying to summon Tragodia, which is fine. So I went ahead and decided to just set both regardless. This to me, like, unless he has some sort of play plan, this to me signals weakness. So I'm starting to think, wow, like I might actually pull this game out despite the Pro Heavy and the Torrential for 3. He end phase hits the D Prison, which, lucky for me, I think the Gemini Spark would have been better for him to hit. So he just passes, and at this point I'm like, wow, his hand must be really weak. At least that's my read. I don't know what I'm doing in Edison format, so I could be completely incorrect, but that's just my thinking, especially because he didn't do anything with it. So then I decide to attack. I think I did the ordering wrong because I play more into Gores this way, but at the same time I know that if I attack with Chimera Tech, then it puts him at 4,000, so that's 2 more attacks from Chimera Tech, or I basically put him on a 2-turn timer regardless, so I decide to go ahead and do that. Yeah, not sure. That probably wasn't correct. I played pretty hard into Gores there, but I don't think he has Gores in this spot. I wasn't too concerned about it. He decides to Avarice, and because I kind of assume that his hand is weak, I just rip the Solemn, that was a really nice draw at that time. Then he sets 2. I know that one of these is a bluff. They probably are both bluffs. One of them is a real card, but really my only concern at this point was Mirror Force. If it doesn't have Mirror Force, then I have game, so I decide to, unless there's something that I'm missing. So I decide to, there really isn't a ton to think about. I just was trying to decide whether like I should search off of Stratos just in case he has the Mirror Force, and then I can, have follow-up plays. But I decided, you know what, I don't think he has anything, and I'll go ahead and use the Stratos pop to give myself a 50-50 shot at hitting one of the back rows anyway. So I use it, I hit a Mind Crush, and that's just game. So that's a pretty nice little 2-0. Obviously, I drew super well. I had just really nice combinations of Hero Blast at the right time, Gemini Sparks at the right time, the Cyber Dragon at the right time, and my opponent played well too with the Heavy Storm. I thought was really impressive. Thought it was well played. I just drew really well, and I feel like I played with solid fundamentals. I was very happy with how this match went. Obviously, at 2-0, I'm happy about it, and that puts the free agents 1-0 so far, undefeated free agents. Actually, all three of this was the third match in our set, and all of them were wins so far. So I was really happy about that. Some things to take away from this match. I need to learn more about like rogue decks like this. I've actually been talking with some of my teammates about what this deck essentially functions like, ways to play around it, what I should expect when they're setting cards. I was expecting Raikou 99% of the time, but it was a rat and it was a dandelion, things that I should just be more prepared for in general. That was good to keep in mind. I learned that Debris Dragon always summons an attack, so I need to keep that in mind. And the ordering of attacks I did slightly incorrectly there at the end. So there's a lot of good stuff to glean from that match. It feels nice to get a win like that. I mean, I obviously, drew super well. That helped a ton. But we got the win, and so I was really happy about that. 1-0 in the Edison format WarLeague so far. So that is all I've got, I think. Thank you guys for watching. If you saw any super obvious misplays or lines that you might have considered, please let me know in the comments. I'm just trying to learn, get better. Like I mentioned, I'm learning Edison. This is a lot of these games are going to be pretty rough, but we were able to pull out the win, thankfully, somehow. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and until the next one, bye.